We are now ready to take a look at some factors related to memory and remembering, and we're essentially involved in modules 11 and 12 at this point. Now, when we talk about memory, one of the first things that we talk about are different types of memory. And one of the longest theories related to the types of memory involves three major types of memory. The first type of memory that we'll talk about is what's called sensory memory, or sometimes referred to as sensory storage. So when you think about all the things that you come in contact with on a day-to-day basis, just literally minute to minute, you have thousands and thousands of sensations that are coming into your body all at once. If you just consider all of the things that you can see when you open your eyes, literally all the way from the furthest peripheral vision on your left to the furthest peripheral vision on your right, you have thousands of things that are coming in through your eyes all at once. Add to that what you hear, what you smell, taste, and touch. And so all of those things coming in second by second, every single minute of every single day. It's overwhelming. There's way too many things that our senses pick up that we simply cannot attend to. We can't keep track of all those things. We can't remember all those things. So that's what we refer to, as sensory memory. All of those things coming in for just a split second. And so literally sensory memory generally is thought to last anywhere from about 0 to 1 second, maybe 2 seconds. So just a couple seconds. Now, you can actually divide that up and talk about things like iconic memory. In other words, an icon, if you think like on a computer, you think of an icon is something you see. It's a little picture or whatever that you see on the computer. So iconic memory refers to visual things, and those things we tend to lose in less than a second if we haven't done something with them. If I look directly at a couch or a pillow or a book or a pen or somebody's sweatshirt, well, then I can attend to those things, and those things will go in my memory and go further in. But if I don't attend to something, if I don't focus on it, then it immediately gets lost literally in less than a second. Echoic memory, you think of an echo as something you hear, that's an auditory memory. Now, auditory memories actually last a little bit longer, up to about 3 to 4 seconds. If you can think of any time that you've been around a number of people and you're maybe having a conversation or you're focused on something, with one person, and then all of a sudden somebody says something somewhere else in the room, and a couple seconds later it kind of rings a bell in your mind, and you turn and you say, wait, what did you say? Did you say such and such? Because that auditory memory is still there. It's hanging around for about 3 to 4 seconds. That's about the longest of any of the sensory memories. Okay? So if you just think in terms of sensory memory, a sensation comes in. If we don't pay attention to it, we pretty much lose it within the matter of a first 2 or 3 seconds. Okay? All right. Now, if we do attend to whatever it is, we pay attention to it, then it gets transferred into our short term, or what's called our working memory. Now, the short term memory, we are talking very short term here. Generally speaking, short-term memory is thought of as about anywhere from about 2 to 30 seconds. So it's very, very quick. It's one of those deals where years ago we used to refer to this as short-term memory, and it was always described as like 2 to 30 seconds. Now they've kind of renamed it as working memory because the theory has kind of been revised to the point where basically anytime you are working with something, you're thinking about it, you're churning over it in your mind, you are literally referring back to things that you already know. You're comparing what you're thinking about now to things you've heard or things you've seen or things you've done in the past. So you're working with that memory, that current memory. So that's where that term comes from, short term, or now it's kind of referred to as working memory. Now, the magic number for working memory is 7. We will talk about this several times in class, but the magic number 7, just remember that. Research shows that most people, if you are trying to remember like a long list of things within, like a short time span, if you don't get to study it and study it and study it, generally speaking, the limit for short-term memory for most people is 7 items. Now, we say 7 items plus or minus 2. So for some people, it could be as little as 5 items, for others, as long as 9 items. That's the general kind of average for most people. Now, there's research that we can do, or experiments, demonstrations we can do in class that will show that some people are actually better at that, some people are worse at that, but the average is 7 plus or minus 2. Okay, so the thing to remember here is short-term or working memory, it does have a limit, it does have kind of a capacity to it. It's a 30-second time period, and if you don't work with it consistently, then you're going to lose it. Now, if something gets beyond our short-term memory, then we talk about it going into long-term memory. Long-term memory is essentially infinite. It could be there's no capacity to it, and it can be semi-permanent. So basically, it could be something that lasts forever. Okay. Now, long-term memory generally consists of 2 things: a trace and a cue. A cue, when you see the word cue, I want you to think of a clue, C-L-U-E. A cue is like a trigger that causes you to remember something. So, for example, if I say, do you remember what you did the first day of school this year? That's a trigger. That's a cue that causes you to remember a particular day and a particular event or a particular set of events. Now, if I asked you that question, what did you do the first day of school this year, and you're able to tell me what you did, that is the trace. The trace is basically what you remember. Okay, so the cue is a trigger. It acts as kind of a little device to help us remember a particular event or an experience, and that is what we call the trace. Okay, so you have 3 types of memory here. You have sensory storage or sensory memory, you have short-term or working memory, and then you have long-term memory. Those are the 3 types of memory you definitely need to remember.